in about an hour from now, the Supreme Court will take the most direct action in a presidential race in 24 years. The justices will consider whether Donald Trump can be removed from Colorado's primary ballot for his role in the insurrection on January 6th. Colorado's state Supreme Court ruled in December that Trump was disqualified based on a section from the 14th Amendment. It was added after the Civil War to keep Confederates from holding office again. Let's bring in MSNBC chief legal correspondent and anchor of The Beat on MSNBC, Ari Melber, who is live for us outside the Supreme Court. So, Ari, what's at stake here? A lot of the conversations that we've had in the past few hours have been, well, the Supreme Court will not rule against Trump on this because public opinion, but confidence in the court. They don't want to be involved in too many election cases. But isn't their job to decide whether or not he is eligible? And what are the off-ramps on that front?
Yeah, the main job of the court today is to hear these arguments and decide, is there a way under the Constitution, the 14th Amendment, that you would disqualify a candidate in this position through this process or not? And because there isn't a lot of precedent for doing that, a lot of legal observers and a lot of the analysis and the history we have suggests they would be unlikely to make new precedent and to do that. The off-ramps could be anything from saying, well, this is a special case, it's only the primaries, we're not going to deal with all of it, and the court sometimes takes those off-ramps, as you know, Mika, or they could just issue the kind of rule that will resolve this for the entire year and for years to come and say there's got to be a higher bar than one state deciding sort of on its own to do this.
But aren't other states looking at this as well, or is Colorado the only state?
No, you're absolutely right. Many states are looking at it. But from the court's perspective, they need a rule, or I think history would suggest they want a rule that works across the country. In other words, if one state has the unilateral power to do this, if Colorado can say no to this candidate, other places say yes, then that can create a lot of confusion and inconsistency for what is still fundamentally a national election. And I'm sure you've heard the hypotheticals. People say, okay, if it's done state by state, what's to stop Texas or Idaho from coming up with its version of why some candidate that is less popular there gets disqualified? So I do think the history and precedent we have makes this an uphill battle. But the judges are going to hear this right behind me today, and they're going to ultimately decide. So we're all looking at the history, but new history could be made.
Okay, and I'm just curious about the other states that are dealing with this. Isn't that what the Supreme Court is for, though? Because if you have these questions coming up across the country, and no one, doesn't it get elevated to the Supreme Court that can make a ruling for everybody to follow? That's precedent.
Sure, and that's the most common reason that the court will take a case. Sometimes it's what they call a circuit split, where different places have disagreed, and sometimes it's, as you mentioned, because states are doing different things. Now, we've seen states, by the way, in all fairness, that have secretaries of state or local officials who might be more skeptical of Donald Trump. We know that from their party affiliation, their voting record, their public statements, and who have not come down this way and found what Colorado found. If you read the underlying Colorado decision, right, what it says is something that's familiar to a lot of people who followed the news, which is it seems like Donald Trump did a lot of things to overthrow the election, and they interpret that on their own, in other words, not with a criminal conviction, but in their own court analysis as him essentially engaging in or joining an insurrection. Other states have not found that. But I don't think anyone would want a presidential election where a candidate is allegedly disqualified in one place for that reason, but also completely qualified to be on the ballot in another place under the same rule. There needs to be, I think, the court would say, some consistency. Now, that could break against Trump if they found overwhelming evidence of that insurrection and they found that to be a valid process, or it could break with him. Based on history, I wouldn't expect, again, based on what we know, I wouldn't expect Colorado to have a real strong shot today.
Yeah, and the question at hand is eligibility to be on the ballot. And are you saying that the Supreme Court might say we don't want to deal with the primary? Or do they have to look at the question as to whether he's eligible?
So the case, it's a great question, Mika. We're going into the weeds, but we love the weeds on a legal day, right? The case that's brought this up is a primary. And just to remind everyone, we follow these big primaries. In our kind of funny system in America, most of these primaries are run through the party, not through the general election government mode that we think of in November. And so, yes, one way that the Supreme Court could narrow this is to say, well, we're only going to look at the primary context and leave the other fights for another day. That might be, for example, a way they could signal their views but not make a bigger, larger rule. The other thing they could do is say, no, the 14th Amendment, the constitutional provision, you're obviously talking about overall eligibility. The primary leads to the general. We all know what's coming in November, and they could make a wider rule. And that's another reason why it's so hard to predict. In other cases, civil rights law, education policy, abortion policy, you have many years of precedent, and so you can look at how they've done it in the past. There's no modern precedent for removing a candidate based on this provision about insurrection.
All right, I know you need to run in there. MSNBC chief legal correspondent Ari Melber. I have so many questions for you. Thank you very much for joining us.